Today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at how to write a personal mission statement. Okay. And I'm going to share my screen. Sit back and relax. Um, you know, Today is just the beginning of something that we will do for the next couple of months. So this session will go in parallel with Dr. Liz in the weeks to come. Today we will learn about what is a personal mission statement. If you don't have a pencil or a paper, this may be a good time for you to grab a pencil or a paper with you, because these are a good information that will come handy. And I'll also tell you why I asked about the the resolution. We'll talk through that as well in a minute. What is a personal mission statement and why do I need to write that, right? The personal mission statement defines who you are and what do you want to do and what do you want to be. What do you want to be in this life is your character, right? And what do you want to do is a lot of people come and live on this earth and die and just go, and they don't do anything different with their life. You and I are made to exist on this earth to do something with it, right? And so there was a man named Edward Deming. If you haven't known about him, you should Google this guy. His name is Edward Deming, right? And they used to call this guy as a god with a small g. Good old Deming. That's how they called him. Who is Edward Deming? Edward Deming, when Japan was bombed, the Hiroshima and Nagasaki was bombed, right? There were few people that went from America to Japan to rebuild that country, and Edward Deming was one of them. Okay, and he is the one guy who kept saying to the American people in the 70s and 60s, when America was making cars, they were making really large cars. If you have seen the old movies, you would see this big, giant Chevy cars, and the American cars were really big and heavy, right? And Edward Deming was the guy who was saying that we should make small cars, smarter cars, the cars with the, efficiency with the, gas and so on. Edward Deming is also the guy, uh, when you look at the old computers, right? If you have looked at the computers that were built in the 50s and 60s, you would see these big giant computers. It is not like how we have as laptops today or desktops that we had before. These were like a giant room-sized computers. And if you go behind those computers, there were hundreds and hundreds of wires going everywhere. That's how it used to look. Okay. And so when you see those wires, right, they were all black wires, right? Edward Deming was the first guy who actually changed the color of those wires from being all black colors to different colors. Okay. And Edward Deming is also called the father of data quality because that's his specialty. He just created so much of quality measures that even today, my neighbor here, Ed, he always talks about Edward Deming too, because there are so many books and materials written, based on what Deming has done. So when he was 94 years old, he was still working 14 to 16 hours every day. He was 94. He came back from Japan, in his late years, and then he spent in universities talking about it. And he used to work, 14 to 16 hours. So that one time the reporters asked him, Mr. Deming, you've done a lot of things already. You have changed the color of the computer wires. You have made the Japanese car is small and efficient. You've done a lot of these things already. Why do you have to work 14 to 16 hours? Right? Then Edward Deming told the reporter his story. He said, when he was like a 13 years old, his teacher in school asked him, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind when you die? Right? What is that you want people to remember after you pass away from this earth? Right? And the 13-year-old kids in that class did not know what is the legacy they wanted to leave behind. Nobody had an answer. And the teacher said, if you're 13 and you do not know, that's all right. But if you're 60 and you do not know, then you wasted your life. We need to know what is that we want to leave as a legacy behind when we leave this earth, right? What is that I want to do? What is my standard and goals and principles by which I want to live this life? You and I need to know and write down those things. That's what we're going to do the next couple of months. We're going to sit and write these things so that it helps you as you grow. This is not like a resolution that you write in like the beginning of the year that lasts for like 4 to 6 weeks. That's what they say at an average. The resolutions doesn't last longer. But when you write these kind of like mission statements, these mission statements are written for life. Why? Because these mission statement gives us the purpose for this life. Why am I here? What am I doing? Right? We need to ask these kind of serious questions about ourselves. And also, when you start to write these kind of mission statement, it gives you a guidance when you make decisions on. The next time you're spending time with your friends, and if that does not actually help your mission statement for which you're, in this earth for, or what you want to do, you will make your decisions, you know, to avoid those kind of situations. You will have like a much clarity and understanding, and you will also be very graceful with people, because sometimes you see people do certain things. It will just like you will get like a worked up and you want to do something about it and you want to go after this person, or you will, or you may even spend time thinking about like how can they do this, why you probably will not sweat the small stuff. You will be very graceful with people. You will also have a lot of confidence in yourself when you write a mission statement for yourself. Okay, so what are some of the things that we need to have in the mission statement? There are 5 characteristics that needs to be in your mission statement. Number one, it has to be personal. It has to talk about you. You're not writing this mission statement for your boss, or your coworker, or or your friend, or for somebody else. Whatever you write here as a mission statement, it has to be personal. It's about you. It has to be positive, right? You cannot have like the negative kind of things to express yourself. Oh, that guy, he's always complaining. He's a complainer. You don't want people to remember you as something negative. When people, look at you, they need to say, oh my goodness, he's always smiling. He's always very positive. Every time I heard my wife say this week, somebody was talking to her and they said like, oh, whenever I talk to you, I feel very positive about myself. So you want to be an influencer of being positive. And when you write your mission statement, it has to be present tense. It is not going to be like I will be. or I want to be. Because if you write your mission statement about the future, your unconscious mind will say, I still have time to do this. I don't need to be worried about it today. I don't need to do this today. So sometimes when you write these things, you don't write it about something that you will do it in the future. You are. This is the person you are. Mother Teresa wrote a mission statement for herself. She wrote, sorry, she said she wanted to be a pencil in God's hand. That's Mother Teresa's mission statement. She wanted to be a pencil. And I was thinking, wow, it just talks about like a future tense, but actually she made it as a present tense in her life. She said, like, I'm going to take care of these people with leprosy, and that I I will do my part, but God can use me as a pencil so that if something that I do wrong with this, then God can correct what I wrote, right? So then the next thing, it has to be visual. You have to start to imagine yourself in that place. You have to imagine that you being that person, right? And it has to be emotional, deeply appealing to yourself. So these are suggestions or characteristics that you need to have in your mission statement. Okay. It has to be personal, it has to be positive, it has to be present tense, it has to be very visual, and it has to connect with your emotions. Okay. So keep that back in your mind. Okay. And we will come to it. At the end of the day, your mission statement should be driving your purpose, giving you guidance, understanding of the people around, and gives you confidence. Those are like major goals when you write the mission statement, right? These are characteristics that you could have in your mission statement. Here is one from John Wesley. He says, do all the good you can by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you ever can. That's what he told himself. He wanted to do good, right? In every possible way. He wants to do good in all places, wherever he is. He wants to do good at all times to all people as long as he can, right? And so those are some of the things. And I've heard, I mean, I saw President Obama's, mission statement. I saw Mahatma Gandhi's mission statement. All these leaders, they have written mission statements for their life. I saw Dr. King's mission statement as well. I will, in this course of time, I'll start to introduce their mission statements as well. So, how do you should focus on your mission statement on core principles, right? This should be like something that you want to hold on to. This is not something that is going to change. This is like something that defines you. What is important for you? What is your family? How you want to treat others? How you want to live this life with integrity? These core principles that you want to put in your mission statement does not change. And so, again, I'm giving all these things as boundaries. Now we will go into writing one. And today is just like a first session of writing. We'll come back to it and then we will do it more. Okay. Here's what I want you to do. If you all have your papers and pencils, imagine you're inviting some of the closest people that you have in your life, right, for your 80th birthday. Okay. I've done this like as an obituary as well, but today we're just going to use your 80th birthday. Okay. Write down 5 people in your life that is very important for you. Okay. It could be your mom, it could be your father, it could be your brother, sister, your friend. I do not know who that is. Okay. But I want you to write 5 people's name on that. When you write that name, leave some space between the first name and the second name. Leave at least a paragraph size space between the first name and the second name and the third name and so on. Just 5 people. So go ahead, take your time to think about who are those 5 people that you really feel special to invite them to this birthday party. Now, once you write down the 5 people's name, I want to write your relationship to them, right? You are a mother, I'm sorry, in this case, you're a daughter, right? If you've written your mother's name, your relationship, right? If you've written your dad's name, or whatever that relationship that you have with them. Now, I hope you've written that. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write one-liner toast of what they would say about you on your 80th birthday, right? We want you're writing a toast, right? The toast should say, if it's your son, my mom was always very, is always listening to me. My mom will always show up in my school. I don't know what they would say. Okay, if it's your your sister telling about you. Oh, she always shares her dress with me, or shares her stuff with me. I do not know, but what would they say about you on the 80th birthday? Okay, I'm going to come back to my presentation for a second. I hope this is helpful for you because this is very important. I wrote a mission statement for my own life about like a 12, 13 years ago. I wrote a mission statement for my life and I started to make my decisions based on my mission statement. In my life, I want to defend the fatherless and widows. This mission statement that we are talking about, it's not about like who you are. You have a role to play as a mom. You have a role to play as a son. You have a role to play as a father. You have a role to play as like a brother or a sister. That's there. But what is the legacy that you want to remember? You want you to be remembered. What would people remember you as when you die after you finish this earth and go? So the decisions that you make, from here, these mission statements will act as a measuring step or stick for any decision that you do. Anything that you do from here, you have to ask this question: does this support my mission statement? If it doesn't support my mission statement, I want to stay away from those things. Okay, it needs to give you like some kind of like a trajectory or like a pathway for your life where it should be in front of your life. So it takes away all these unproductive things that can happen that you may end up happening, doing. You have to put like these decisions that you're making as like a forefront of your path. And so if someone writes in my tomb after I die, in my tomb, if someone says this guy cared about fatherless, would my life reflected the mission I wrote about myself? That's only one of the statement I wrote about myself. And along the way, I'll talk about like what I wrote about my mission statement. I kind of like removed the things that does not support my mission statement from my life so that I can actually pay attention to what I want to do. It gives you so much of clarity for your life. Now, here's the thing. Between now and next time we get a chance to meet, I want you to write, okay, 5 statements from those 5 people that you wrote down because you felt those 5 people are important in your life, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have written their names in there, okay? And I also gave that example of how you should rate it, okay? And we'll come back, okay, next month. When you come back, I'm going to help you parse those statements. From here, I really don't want to see what you have written in that piece of paper because it's not about me approving anything of your life. It is about you that needs to set the bar and the benchmark and the measurement and the goals for yourself. Okay. So it's about you and it's about how you want the legacy to be remembered when you pass on from this life. Let me tell you, why is this important? Every person has 2 deaths in their life. The first death is when you die physically. The second death is when no one remembers you anymore. When you live this life, you need to have a meaning for this life and you want to leave a legacy. Even today, people are talking about Mahatma Gandhi. Even today, people are talking about Dr. King. Even today, people are talking about all these people. Why? Until they keep talking about them, they're still alive because they have left a legacy behind. And that's how serious and sincere this effort has to be. I hope, you will take this, sessions seriously, and we will come back to it next month as we go through this journey.